They used to have a fucking house when houses first started. It was the beta house, and it was for a bunch of people that were like dick lickers of the fucking people on the app. And I won't say who, but somebody got me the invite to it, and they almost instantly regretted it. There was people that like were like protesting, like, "Oh, why is he here?" And do you guys know who Nozzle is? Anybody familiar with Nozzle?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard this, yeah.
Yeah, so Nozzle, what a fucking fake ass. This motherfucker, he would fucking go in there and, like, all he gave a shit about, like, everybody had feedback, the kind of feedback that if you were to ask people today, like, hey, what would make the app better, right? Like, real feedback would get, like, beat down, and Nozzle would always talk about, like, we need to be able to monetize, and, like, he was always, because he wants to make money from the app. That's all he cared about, right? And so when they were talking about monetizing houses, like, that was him, that he was like the engine behind that. And then when they killed that, he tried to figure out a way to, like, you know, like, monetize anyways without the app's help. And then he had done so much, like, essentially free consulting for them on a bunch of topics. And then when they were hiring for somebody, he thought for sure they'd hire him because he'd already done all this work for them. And, like, he got so pissed because they told him that they weren't going to hire him. But the reason they gave him that they weren't going to hire him is because he didn't live in the U.S., right? I won't say where he lives, but they said that they were at the time they were only hiring U.S. People. May or may not have been true. He got so mad. He's sometimes on this app, but then he starts going around to different apps. He's now like I don't know if he's CTO or what he is over on Chatter, but, like, he's finally got himself in as an employee status. I know he doesn't make much money because they don't have any money, but that dude is the fucking funny. Like, why would he fight to monetize? He's never opened a room that's drew more than 4 or 5 people anyways. Like, how is he going to utilize the monetization? So now that he's got, like, an employee role, I think he's leveraging that. I don't know exactly where he lives, but I'm guessing it's in a fucking part of the world that makes, like, maybe $3 a day. So, but that guy's fucking fake as shit.
Yeah, but he's super, super smart when it comes to
he's fake as shit, respectfully.
Respectfully, he fixed. I had a problem. He told me how to fix it, going to developer options. What?
Carry on.
No, he's told me how to do it, going to developer options. He fixed it in a minute. I have been emailing Clubhouse, asking. But he's
Nozzle is help desk.
Yeah, he's like Geek Squad.
You know what I did find very distasteful, however? So over in the Million Marathon, we had this room where this woman was about to confront these people on the app who scammed her for thousands of dollars, like it was an extraordinary amount. And
are you talking about Lindsay the horse?
Yes. I didn't know I was gonna say that.
Dude, I know all the bodies
of for Lindsay. See, that sounds like that.
She's the one who's still on here under a different name.
Oh my God, bring her into this fucking space. I want to say hello. I was like, yeah, that fucking room was, that was epic because it was a total lie. It was like a whole fabricated, I got scammed play, and I just, when I was in it, I believed it.
What was she collecting money?
Well, so I think it was to kind of like make this one. So Barbara Majeski was the one who supposedly got scammed. But interestingly, in and around this time, Barbara Majeski was also doing like some like TV stuff, and I think she was really trying to get traction, for herself. And I remember Grant Grant had said something, and I'll never forget it. He was like, even bad publicity is publicity, you know, like, it was weird because people were always coming after Grant for shit that he was saying, and then I was like, oh, I actually think that he comes in and says shit like that on purpose, you know, just to get people to kind of like look up his name and figure out who he is, and, you know, like, whatever. So this ends up happening with this Barbara woman, and it was funny because in and around the time that she was like, you know, going through this, she was trying to like.
And Barbara was like a TV personality. She was like no
promotion,
and it was so crazy because I felt like she was doing fine by herself, but I felt like it felt like she maybe thought that she was like obligated to kind of like bring people in with her, you know, into some of her successful moments. Like I remember there was this point where Jonathan Bean's daughters came onto one of her morning shows or whatever, and it was a big thing, and he was like, thank you so much.
Angel, can you acknowledge that Jonathan Bing is the stupidest person on all of Clubhouse?
And a complete, absolute fraud. And if anybody wants to ping him in here, I'll tell him myself. I actually had to pull myself away from Jonathan. Great, you know, I want to just say this. I met Jonathan from the very beginning of this application. He has my personal phone number. I have his personal phone number. We were Clubhouse, whatever, I don't want to say friends, but we were Clubhousey, and we did a lot of back chatting and, you know, setting up plays and things like that and shit. But a lot of the stuff that you know, he was putting down on this platform was just, don't fall for it. That's all I can say. And if you're, you know,
he's like
a woman, just, you know.
He's just the definition of a midwit. I don't even want to get into it. He's fucking stupid.
What is setting up plays? What do you mean by that?
So let's just say, like, we had a controversial topic, which we titled it Clickbait Topics. I'd be modded in space or whatever. Many of us we kind of would get like a rundown or like kind of like back chat each other and like, you know, what we were gonna like, you know, kind of talk about next and segue. But there was just like shit like that, you know, like, or you know, let so-and-so up and, you know, block so-and-so or, you know, remove so-and-so or boom the room or like, you know, like just shit like that. So it really had to do with like more of how the space was operated and stuff. But, you know, you get to learn sometimes the true person when, how do I say this? When people are too preoccupied with being the green bean, sometimes they lose that, you know, that ultra persona that they came on here with, and they show their true colors. That's all.
Angel, who is the white guy that got grilled when Barbara got duped out of the money and Lindsay, you know, like was under heat, but they had.
He wasn't white. He was supposed to be this Mexican dude, Eric. Eric.
Yeah.
So
he certainly didn't look Mexican. He looked like a white.
He didn't, but he always talked about it. He's like, got really offended when you didn't, like, you know.
No.
So anyways,
that guy sat on a fucking stage for a fucking hour, letting people like just grill him, and he was just like, "Look, I'm here. I'm answering questions. I'm not running away."
Yeah. He was like, it was crazy.
That room was so pathetic because he's all, come on guys, don't do me like that. Look, I'm here, I'm standing in front of you. He was like, I'm throwing myself at the mercy of y'all. It was just.
They did him dirty though, because they really did him dirty. Like, so he was always the one who was like, when you're in those spaces, like the back channel became, you know, like another highlight to like this app, you know what I mean? It's like If Only the Back Channels Could Speak. Like, that should be a room title. But so you had so much that was going on, and here they were running a play on the player. So funny. But do you remember Giuseppe?
Dude, we were just talking about him in the chat. When Giuseppe used to back channel me, and he would just be like, "Mod me, bro. All my followers will come. Mod me, bro." And I'm like, "Fuck you." Fucking, I don't.
Giuseppe was one of those motherfuckers. And I think I swear to God, when they took away the followers, Giuseppe was gone. You never saw him again. But he was just somebody who was like, but it was weird because I never really actually believed he was who he said he was. But a lot of people vouched for him. A lot of people were like, "No, I met Giuseppe. He's like really like buku rich. Like he really is."
He reminds me of? He reminds me of the animatronic pizza tossing guy from Chuck E. Cheese. That's like that's what he always reminded me of. He never said anything interesting, but he did have the fucking Italian accent. There was some authenticity to his.
I always called him. You know how like there's Mr. You know there's the Mr. Clean. I called him Mr. Fabuloso because I know like Fabuloso is like, I don't know, but I always called him fucking Mr. Fabuloso. Just because he had like a really shiny head. He reminded me of Mr. Clean, but he had like this accent, and he acted really famous. And his shoes, he was always about his shoes and shit.
Do you remember in season 1 of Clubhouse when if race came up, you get up and you participate in the conversation, and there'd always be a black woman to tell you that you don't have the scholarship. You don't have the scholarship for this conversation. I
never can't speak on that. Remember, I don't know if you were listening in when they were telling me you can't speak on black topics. You can't participate in these type of conversations. And the whole delineation campaign that they went on from those rooms became, I guess, my segue into calling a woman a hard ER bitch. And then all hell broke loose from there. And I made a t-shirt. And so, that's what happened. But those rooms were they were more genuine, Roger, than they are today about race on this application. They actually had some tones of authenticity to them. And I think people were really trying to have a collaboration on this race topic and what they could do with
totally fucking disagree. I think it was way worse then. Back then, we were still in this world where if you called somebody a racist, people would panic and be like, "Oh, I don't want to be called that." And they would get away with saying the most asinine shit. They would tell you that science is racist, history is racist, math is racist.
Everything that shit was absurd. Except for black people could never be racist, right? So,
well, but it went beyond that. It was like this is back when they would do rooms where they would say math is racist, and then they would do this weird like Terrence Howard thing where they would even tell you that like 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. Like it was that dumb.
I remember, and it'd be some country ass black dude with this Ebonics tone, like like the way he spoke. It was. I remember these times, but I do have to disagree a little bit because I think at those times, remember we all kind of came here as we were, like we had our real names, we talked about our families, we gave real life experiences to this application. And I think again the authenticity was there. I do acknowledge that the authenticity was there. However, I think that there was this trauma bonding kind of culture-ish type thing that was taking place, and people were really trying to have this application be defined as a black app.
Well, it kind of was. It kind of was.
Well, I mean, okay. Let's just.
I think all of social audio starts that way.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Fanbase is like not even like a worldwide app or even a national app. It's more like a Atlanta metro app. But when this app was created, one of the strategies, if you talk to guys like Ed Nussbaum, like when they were looking at who they wanted as influencers in the beginning, they were very intentional about getting black influencers to drive traffic to the app, and that's why.
What's funny about that, Roger? If you remember, we used to have a Clubhouse icon, and it took a long time for them to bring a black face. And when they did bring a black face, they brought the black face of 3 black men.
Do you remember when Piotr was the shortest lived Clubhouse icon, and he complained to them and said that he tried to argue that he should be the lifelong icon because of the sit rep room that they did,
Yes.
and how he brought so much attention to the app, and basically he thought that the app owed him something. It was fucking hilarious.
And he killed it because they never did they were like, fuck it. It just became the wave, the hand, and that was the fuck it, and that's what it's been. But I remember specifically that they would have these icons come and they would speak and they would generate a space, but these spaces that they were generating never they never made the numbers. You're right.
Edmund should have been the face of the app. Nobody has ever so much as he has.
Wait a minute. If you're going to get a lifetime achievement award for the app and name an app icon, I would say it has to be Norm. Norm is the icon of the app.
No. I mean, like Edmund is everywhere. Edmund even platforms Norm. Norm uses Edmund.
Edmund himself will say that Norm should be the icon.
If you had to give a description of Clubhouse icon today, who would it look like?
John Kitover.
It would look like Roger's old PTR, man.
I'll never. John is also very well known in every corner of Clubhouse.
I'll never forget. I'm live streaming a room. I'm live streaming a room, and then I'm also live streaming myself, like laying on my bed, listening to the room. And El Normo is watching me on my live stream, listen to him talking, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "This is so funny that it's just so stupid, but it's entertaining."
I think if they had to name an icon now, they'd have to pick somebody from India. I mean, that's where there's like 10 times the amount of users in India than they have on this side of the app.
How do you know? Because we can't.
You gotta scroll. You gotta keep on scrolling.
It's not the entire world. It's not the entire Clubhouse world what we see, right? And that I didn't know that.
I used to get good information until when I stopped getting information about Clubhouse was when they didn't even care when I said I'm going to Fanbase. Fuck you guys. They didn't care about that. They were just like he'll be back. But when I fucking went to Chatter, that was like radio silence. I never fucking got.
And you said that you were never going to come back to Clubhouse, and here you are.
That's okay. That's okay. It's look. It's promotion. You wouldn't understand it.
Roger, give me your feedback on that launch.
On Chatter?
Yeah, but like from knowing Nelson from here, like what is your overall heartfelt honest take on that?
Yeah, I
terrible product manager.
Yeah, I'll say this. I have nothing bad to say about Nelson, other than, and this is just an honest critique that I think he would accept. He promises things, timelines, features, things like that, and it's never on time. And then when the deadline comes, like there's no real, like atoning for it. Like, and so if you have a new app, the one thing that you want is you want your yes to mean yes, your no to mean no. Don't tell people that, I mean, shit can happen, but you don't want to promise that, hey, it's gonna happen on Friday, and then it doesn't happen until fucking Monday. That's a bad look. And I think that was one of the things, that was a false start for them. And then I think the other thing that was a big mistake, in my opinion, was when they first started, they could have done any type of algorithm that they wanted to, and instead what they did was they chose to promote and highlight certain things. And when he made the conscious decision to put his hand on the scale for Jonathan Bing's rooms, I think the app, like that was like a fatal wound. It was never going to recover from, because
whole fucking heartedly on that one.
And now there's other issues, right? Like, I mean, like, you need a lot of money to be able to operate these types of things. I don't think he was never going to have the kind of money to sustain the ups and downs.
Oh, wait, you mean Grant didn't sponsor him, and Cindy Stumpo, they're not funding that?
They don't have enough money. They don't have enough money. Like, it requires a lot of money, and that's something that they don't have. And so I do think that there were some innovative things that they did. This is something I'm surprised on. From day one, when they had that polling feature, that was a game changer. I don't think the video was all that exciting, because the only people that wanted to be on video were like a couple of like dolled up makeup whores, like that, you know, or I won't even say the person's name, but there was one person that would always, you know, like make like duck lips and fucking pour wine and walk around her house. And it was like, nobody else wanted to fucking be on a goddamn camera, because most of us are sitting fucking on the couch playing with our dog. Nobody cares about that shit, right?
Was he named after a car?
What's that?
Was the person who you're talking about named after a car?
Yes. Yes. So, yeah. But so some of the features that they thought were going to be a big deal, I think nobody gave a shit about. But that polling feature was fire. If that polling feature was here, people, I think that was a game changer. I thought, big game changer.
Roger, I think you're like maybe not understanding the full concept of that video feature, and because I mean I'm almost never on Chatter, by the way, but you got me signed up, and the reason I don't even go back anymore, by the way, is simply because he's had so many problems. I constantly have to reset my passwords, and I just.
Which part do you think I don't understand about the video?
Let me explain the video part so you don't, okay?
Yeah. No, I'm curious. I'm curious what you think I don't understand.
No. You don't. You're saying like nobody gives a shit about it, and that's wrong. I'll tell you what they do. So you're not in this room, but I am in this room. That's so I know about it. So there's a woman named Dawn Fields who runs a couple of rooms. I
know the movie rooms. I know Dawn.
I know Dawn. Okay. So
I know Dawn, and I know that you could do certain things, like you could play a trailer if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, nobody cares. Those rooms. Yeah. I get it. 20 people care.
Okay. 20 people care. But I think. Okay. Look, you know what?
I don't look at my PTR.
I don't even go to the trailer rooms on some, because I don't go on Chatter anymore. But for what she wants to do, and that's the reason she runs most of her rooms on Clubhouse, but runs the Sunday trailer room on Chatter, because it does have that feature. And you're making light of it, but depending on what you want to do with it, and by the way, for certain people, like I don't think he's on Chatter, but like someone like Piotr, who does all this like global diplomacy, whatever. I mean, that video feature could be useful to him to go run like interviews, like not his interviews, but like to get news clips and pull them, and show them to people. I mean, it depends what you want to do. It may not be what you want to do, but other people may want to do other things.
Yes. And so, as somebody that spent some time on Chatter, probably more than the rest of the people in this room combined, I can tell you that Nobody cared. Are there use cases where somebody could find it useful? Sure. But there was nobody on the app to fucking do that. And here's the bigger problem, Ken. Here's the fucking real big problem with it, is that if it did catch on, do you have any idea the expense in terms of content delivery if you're streaming the video on your application and you get a bunch of people fucking doing that? If everybody's turning on their camera, for fuck's sake, or if you're just streaming a video that everybody's consuming, the amount that it would cost, if you think audio is expensive to deliver, which it is, video is the most. It's the most media-rich file that you can deliver on the internet, right? It's not an image. It's not text. It's a fucking biggest fucking thing that you can deliver. It's massive. And audio is smaller than video, but video's magnitude's bigger. But audio is expensive too. If they would have hit the scale of Clubhouse, they would have went out of business just trying to deliver video. They would have had to turn the feature off or start charging people $10 a month.
That's probably true, by the way. That is probably true, yes. Okay. I'm just saying, the only thing that got me a little simple is that I think you're just a little derisive of, like, other people have other desires, like Dawn. And I think...
No, I like Dawn, and I like Dawn, and I think that her use case is legitimate, but you're talking about a use case that would accommodate 20 people. That's all I'm saying. And I like them, and I like her rooms. I think some of her rooms. Not that. Don, you always sound like you're like smoking cigarettes and taking Percocets.
What? I do? You already sound like that.
It's not weird.
Yeah. Come on.
I thought about video feature with a lifesaver for some individuals. I wonder if anyone would have told this to Roger before he made a big fuss about Chatter. And then he actually, instead of listening, he decided to crucify the poor little Guatemalan that was trying to tell him these things that he's saying right now. But no, he did know all of it before. And maybe American, maybe you have some recordings of this time when I was being crucified in Roger. I was criticizing Roger. I was criticizing the product of Chatter, exactly the same things that he's saying right now. And he was calling me what was he saying? I don't remember the exact word, but basically he was saying that I was just giving him like bad luck or whatever, and that was a downer and a pessimist and whatever.
No. There's two things. First of all, why would I ever listen to a Guatemalan chicken farmer? That doesn't make any sense.
But you got a point there.
But that's not the reason why I wanted to leave Clubhouse. When they did the media, when they delivered the news about asynchronous chat, when Paul did his town hall telling people, we're going to make some big changes and nobody's going to like it. He was correct. Nobody was going to like it. That was when I was like, dude, fuck this fucking app. And
I'm not criticizing you for not liking Clubhouse back in the day of what they did. I'm criticizing you for how much you trusted Chatter, and I told you.
You're wrong, and your interpretation of what happened there is just fucking incorrect, and I'll explain it to you. And anybody that knows me knows that this is true. I was pissed at fucking Clubhouse. I enjoy. Clearly, I like this app. I like the quality. Maybe that's just your Spanish ears not picking up English words. Maybe it's not me. Here's the truth of it. The truth of it was this app was killing itself. It was self-inflicted wounds. They built better audio into this app than Fanbase, than Twitter Spaces, the chat, all of those things. The audio quality for this app is fucking tits. It's amazing. And then they didn't understand what to do with it, so they just kept doing all these fucking dumb things. Do you guys remember asynchronous chat? The rebranding, everybody was going to come here and they were going to leave everybody voicemails. Do you remember that was their plan?
You know why they did do that, right?
Roger, there was a 3 to 4 week conversation that we had every single time we clicked into the app, and people it was just like we were mad about it. We were all
but
pissed
you know
off.
why
Can I
they
just
did
say?
that?
Can I just say one thing that somebody said?
Innovation-wise, the reason why they did that is because they needed to isolate our voices so they could train the servers much better. And so people using that, instead of just yelling at each other in the rooms when everyone's speaking over each other, you could isolate the voices and you can train the voice recognition technology behind it.
That would make sense if people had used it. The problem was that people weren't using it. People left the fucking app, and the people that stayed refused to use it.
Can I just say, once somebody said something in the chat that's really important. We're talking about the mascot for Clubhouse, and I agree with the person in the chat who said drunk Marshall should be the mascot for Clubhouse.
You know, not too much on Marshall, man.
No, I love when he gets drunk. It's fucking hysterical. He's like, no, you shut the fuck up. You go to the fucking audience. And I'm like, I love this.
Stop messing with Marshall.
Yeah. I think the insults to Marshall are one of the most annoying things on this fucking app. It's one of the nicest
I like
guys.
Marshall.
But it doesn't stop you from talking shit. It's retarded.
And everybody has been drunk in this app. I have been drunk in this app, and I have cried, and I have whatever. I remember that in years.
Look, Marshall can laugh with you about it. I don't care. What I'm pointing out is that Marshall, like, you guys get in these rooms and talk about politics, but most of you don't live that shit. Marshall lives that shit, and then he's got to sit there and listen to people that probably don't vote, almost guaranteed have never donated $1 to a political campaign, fucking damn sure have never volunteered any of their time to do anything. They don't get involved. And I'm not saying that there's nobody else but Marshall that gets involved. Clearly there are people, but the vast majority of the people that criticize Marshall have never walked a day in his fucking shoes, and it fucking shows.
There was a room that I was in one day, and they were talking about Pepe, being like the biggest racist on the app, and they were like going down the list of naming some names, and how the fuck Marshall's name got thrown in there, I was offended, and I didn't even really know Marshall like that, and I was like, I forget exactly what I said in the chat, and I was like, I think some of you guys just want white people to take accountability for being racist, and I was like, you guys got your, I don't forget what I said, something about your numbers incorrect or your math wrong or something like that. But it wasn't for too far longer than I got removed from the space because I was like, I said something about we need to start a club, or we need to start a house, about blacks are racist and things like that, and Pepe was going off in the room, like he was like, and he was calling people like all these bitches and hoes, and he was like really
black bitches and black hoes.
He was like something and whatever else he was going the fuck off. I just remember this first time I ever heard somebody throw Marshall's name in with the term racist, and it set me off. And I don't even really Marshall like that.
Well, after all, he's a jinxa. He shares every single letter of that word with the N-word, so he gets to be racist.
Wait, you said jinja. Is this like a UK room?
Yeah, it could be ginger, but it's a hard R, so if you want to, I guess it would be ginger.
No, that's an A. Yeah, it's probably just your accent.
Yeah, but look at the word ginger.
Oh, there you go. You said it right that time. I can't. That's one of the other rooms that I feel like there was waves of things that would happen onto this app, like the error when they try to get all white people to be accountable for being racist. That era was
the best ever was Breyer. Breyer was the most sanctimonious motherfucker on this app, and he did a fucking he did a house called Debate Dojo, and he was going to train people how to debate properly, and he did a room about CRT, and he was this white lefty
fucking epic. I loved it.
He's the white lefty that wants to cape for all these issues, and he thinks he's so fucking knowledgeable. And the black community came in there, and they let him know that you're not qualified to speak on this. And then they did a room where they were talking hella shit about him. He stands there and just takes his licking. They were just and he was just like, I'd like to learn. I'd like to be a better ally. And he just continued to kiss their asses. They told him basically they told him that he was a piece of shit. And he continued to kiss their ass. But he was never the same after that. I was
going to say, I was praying that was a backdoor troll, but he was dead ass.
Prince, you only got moved to the audience because this is a black-only space. Sorry.
Oh wait, black. I'm black.
Yeah, but there is quotas in this, and there's only one person. There's only one spot for one black person on stage.
Hey, stop it! Hey, why don't you guys shut up? This isn't a Pepe room. For fuck's sake.
Yo, that reminds me of the time when, remember when Grant Cardone was the black community was mad at him because he was like, oh yeah, so when I sell my product to black people, I talk with the street slang. And when he said that, everybody was mad at him. And
wait, so I was there for this room, and I remember specifically there was a clip or something that they had gotten from YouTube, and they had posted it up, and they were yeah, but let's go down the list of all this black celebrities and stuff he's had in his space, but he doesn't give any contributions to any black schools, any HBCUs, any black movements, any black this, any black that. And Grant came off and he was like, I give contribution to black people every day. And then that's when he said what he said. And he was like, so then Cindy Stumpo was like, well, what do you mean? What are you saying? You have to dumb it down? And that's when it became a big thing where he was like, yeah, he was like, I dumb it down for people to be able to get it. And people then kind of ran off with their spinoff rooms, and they were like, Grant Cardone says that he has to dumb it down in order to speak to black people, and that was epic too. That was a great time. Because he kind of just stood there in his shit too.
What is your guys' take on Grant Cardone?
He is.
He's kind of cool in his own way.
Before you answer,
he likes guns.
I think he's an inspiration because.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! I gotta close my mic and listen to this one.
I've spoken a couple of times to him in this app and in chatter actually.
Yeah. So I think Grant is a great inspiration because, my first experience of Grant Cardone before all that was I seen an interview that he had with Vlad TV, and he was talking about how he got into making the money that he's making. He said he first started off. Was it a 3? No. It was basically it was a home. He started off with a home. And then he built that up into where it became he owned condos.
Wrong. That's all later. He got started selling fucking cars, and then he got good at selling cars. So then instead of being a car salesman, he became a consultant for car dealerships to go tell people how to sell more cars. And
but you gotta wind it back a little further about when he became clean, because he told that whole episode too.
Yeah, but his business career, everybody starts. Everybody's got a different starting point of when they found out about Grant Cardone. You could go back into YouTube and see videos of when he's doing trainings with car dealerships. he probably is fought to get some of that stuff taken down because he was so fucking cheesy. It's just terrible. He's like a snake oil salesman. But I don't complain about the people that like him, because there's some people that like that shit because they don't know how to sell, and they think that that's what selling is, and they think that somehow that if they just do what he does, that they're somehow going to be successful. If he was as good as he says he is at any of these things, right? If selling cars, if he could sell a lot of them consistently, he would have continued to do it. He would have started a dealership. He would have started multiple dealerships. What he wanted to do, when you get into consulting, it's a hit and run. You get paid for your consulting, and you're no longer accountable for the success. It's not because in a business like that, there's so many car dealerships. You just go from one to the next, 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 to the next. He's like running from his problems. When he got into real estate, he did make some smart moves. But if you have leverage, you can make smart moves. I don't think there's anything special about him, but I also don't think that there's any harm in what he does about buying real estate. And the one area where I think he's probably going to get himself in trouble, and John Legere called him out on it. I probably shouldn't say it out loud, or maybe he'll try to sue me. Maybe he'll try to sue me too.
Okay.
Maybe he'll try to sue me, but the truth is that the investment dollars that he's asking people to give, he's not an accredited investment, and so I do think that there's a good chance he could get in trouble. I wouldn't go as far as to say what John Legere said, despite the fact that I share the same sentiment about Grant.
So,
well, yeah, but let me say, not to defend him, but I mean, I'm going to tell you, listening to his more recent commercials, as I hear him on, like, Sirius XM and everything, he is basically, I don't know, like, the follow-up doing this, but he's basically trying to pre-qualify people now, because he's basically telling them you have to call up or fill out a form to see whether you're even qualified to, be an investor. So he apparently is doing that. So he is, like, vetting whether they're
that's the new wave, sir. That's the new wave. You have to kind of, like, remember to, like, he goes off of what he, knows is a trending thing.
Well, it's not funny. I was in the business, so I know a lot about accredited investors. We've done a lot of deals. Okay. So I don't know. Okay, but so he is doing that. I don't follow. I haven't bought any of the stuff, so I don't go through after that to find out, like, what he's asking them, what he's doing. But it tells me that he's at least going through a process trying to vet out the ones that aren't. But let me finish. One of the other things that people need to realize is that the government has liberalized the standards for accredited investors somewhat. So a lot of people who 20 years ago wouldn't qualify, not because they got wealthier, but the same static number, may now qualify because there's things under the Jobs Act. There's other ways of, depending on what you're raising and how much you're raising, of getting people who wouldn't necessarily be qualified as accredited investors 20 years ago can now go into these things. It's a very complicated situation. Yeah.
So here's his process. Okay. He will go for he will see who's qualified as an accredited investor, which and you're correct about the looser definitions, but essentially the traditional definition, you have to have an income of over $250,000 a year, or you have to have $1 million liquidity to be an accredited investor. If you're on Clubhouse, you clearly know, I think anybody with fucking common sense knows, that this is not the most fertile hunting ground. Despite how everybody claims to be rich on this app, this is not the most fertile hunting ground to find accredited investors. And so here's the part that you might be missing, Ken, is that if you don't qualify, guess who he tells you to go and talk to?
Nelson.
Any idea? No?
His partner.
He has a partner that has a different fund that doesn't take accredited investors and that will allow anybody with small contributions to join a fund. And so he starts this funnel. It's all about a funnel. And it's a hot mess, but when you start unpacking it, the guy's a fucking crook. The guy really is.
Sounds like a shady car
You're
salesman.
getting your money either way, right?
Wait, but the reason why I don't like that they call him a crook is because he literally had a lawsuit where he was being sued for that same exact terminology or like criticism, and he beat the case. Like he proved that he wasn't a crook in that lawsuit.
No.
Don't you think that when somebody beats the case that it's always in their favor because there are some
Grant, how much money have you invested with Grant Cardone?
I want to say that because
First of all, Chris don't have no money to invest. That's the.
No, I was just saying, like, $200 in one of his courses or something.
I'm gonna be honest. Like he's always been like a good guy to me, and
He went to the seminar and you bought his book.
I honestly I haven't invested a dollar with Grant, but
So why are you licking his nuts?
And how has he been a good guy to you?
The advice that he gives, you know,
He doesn't give it specifically to you.
It does. So basically, he helped me.
You know who will give you better advice for free? Graham Stephan. Just go to YouTube and look up Graham Stephan.
With Graham Stephan, but the thing is, I can communicate with Graham. I can have a conversation. I can things that I'm skeptical about. I can ask him.
But that's not solely to
So
you.
I appreciate that. And the thing is, I've seen him be accused of many things that haven't been proven in a court.
This guy's in thousands of dollars.
Okay, but so let me finish saying
Yeah,
this.
no,
Just
hold on. This guy probably fucking pushes the broom at fucking Cardone Enterprise.
Well, let me just say this. Just because that you see somebody wins a case doesn't mean that the other side of that, the other party,
Yeah, look at
lost.
OJ.
There's sometimes cases that you'll see where people they lose a case, but the decree will go with prejudice or without prejudice or whatever it takes. So he may have had a victory, but it may be a victory with a lot of prejudice behind it. But I also want to say this too, because I don't know if you guys know this. So Jonathan Bing comes into the room one day and we're having this whole conversation or whatever, and there's this video that's dropped, right? And it's of Jonathan Bing meeting up with Grant Cardone, and he almost instantly, upon like just initially walking up to him, like tucks a stack of money in the dude's hand. And it was the transaction for me. It was the way that transaction took place. It was almost like, I'm paying for your attention. It literally screamed desperation. But, I kind of just sat back and, I'm a person who, I do the opposite of what the saying is. Like we listen, we don't judge. No, I mind my business and I judge very heavily. And so as I listened to the relationship over the next, few months or whatever, I kind of learned that there was a lot of like dick riding and a lot of individuals who were giving heavy contributions into Grant's whatever he got going on, right? The various things that he got going on. Grant never once came back to the application and actually uplifted these individuals. Never, not once.
I'm gonna say
You go ahead.
Jonathan Bing is very successful, and so is Nelson, and so is.
I know them. I know all of them. I can call them right now.
This guy's been in an audience about 10 times in Million Marathon, and now he knows the person.
You're not talking to anybody who's new to them. I can call Nelson, Jonathan, I can call them right now. But my point being is that Grant specifically throughout his I'll call it social relationship with us in the Million Marathon, went to go talk about these uplifting moments that he had with a lot of, wealthy men in the Black community.
Like Grant Cardone, and probably more than anyone.
I'll let you share that after I'm finished, but let me just say this. We watched in real time here on this application a man that we all know, Jonathan Meade, slide $10,000 into Grant Cardone's hands as he's going in for the shake, right? Upon initial meeting him for the first time. And he kind of bragged about this because it was like a bet or something that they had going on, but the bet was irrelevant to the actual transaction of this in real time watching it, right? The bet really had nothing to do with it in as you're watching this video. You wouldn't even know that this was about a bet unless you knew Jonathan, unless you knew the situation that took place before this. But it was this video and this transaction that kind of led its own segue into this exposure, social exposure of Grant Cardone. Here was a real person in real time that was giving him $10,000 on the spot. He could have utilized this application and utilize the wealthy man like Jonathan to actually give a real live example of what it is to lift this person up into what he says he could do for everybody else. This was a given. Jonathan literally threw himself on the table for him to be the example, and Grant never took that. So now all of the feedback that you've given about Grant, Jonathan, Nelson, and all them, what do you think about that? Why do you think that there was such a heavy missed opportunity? We were all here to witness it. Why don't you think Grant took advantage of it?
So I think you were skeptical because of the amount of the transaction. But in all reality,
there was no skepticism in the transaction.
But Jonathan's business has nothing to do with anything that happens on Clubhouse. Neither Nelson.
Okay, but you're not going to answer the question, so then just don't even respond. If you're going to do the do-si-do, and if you're going to do all around the mulberry bush, I'm the one who's going to pop the weasel and say nope. Because you're not answering the question that I'm asking you. Jonathan there's no skepticism in what I'm saying. Jonathan handed him the $10,000 in cash.
But he was transparent.
Right on the spot. Regardless of what it had to do with anything, Grant could have taken this $10,000 and said, hey, listen, with this, I'm going to put you into this, and this, and this that would equate one of my members coming in with $10,000. Why don't you think that he made an example out of Jonathan when Jonathan was literally putting himself at the forefront of saying, hey, make me an example. They were rooting. I mean, if you were in the Million Marathon, I was modded up every day. You heard it. You heard their relationship. You heard them driving in the jet. You heard them going to places together, meeting up and doing all that.
Okay, so when it comes to the lawsuit, right? Grant Cardone spent over $1 million in the lawsuit, right? He gained nothing from the lawsuit.
You're not going to answer Angel.
No. What I'm saying is so the lawsuit.
Why don't you stay on topic, Dick Ryder?
No, because he can't do it. Because the truth of the matter is that this young man here, and this is no shade or disrespect to you, but you're just not as invested into what you say you're invested in. You're trying to give me feedback and scapegoat the question that I asked you. Now, I'm not the smartest person, but you're avoiding this question at all costs because you don't want to answer this because you want to say something different and blame me. I have no skepticism. I'm cool with Jonathan. There's a couple things about him I just don't. I'll keep it to myself, but I can say it to his face. I actually like Grant. I follow him, and he follows me. He follows me back on Twitter. Follows me back on this application. He follows me in other places as well. I've actually I know people who work for him, and I'm cool with them. And listen, I'm very happy and cool with them. But you're not answering this question for whatever reason lets me know that you're not as invested as you're claiming that you are.
What I'm saying, okay, so with the lawsuit, Grant spent millions of dollars in lawyer fees.
The lawsuit didn't have any. This.
Hold on. Everyone mute up. Everyone mute up. Listen. there's two things happening here. Prince is trying to talk about something like you've laid out what you're saying, Angel, and Prince is ignoring every word you're saying, and then talking about the lawsuit. He's ignoring every word. So, Prince, do you want to respond to what Angel said, or are you just going to bloviate about whatever the fuck you want to talk?
But the thing is, I'm responding to what she said.
Okay. Okay, great. If you don't respond to what she's saying, I'm going to think that you're not serious about having a conversation, and I'll just move you to the audience.
I do want to have that conversation. But I do want to
respond to what she said without demanding that you want to insert this other item that has nothing to do with what she just said.
Yeah, talk about that later.
Okay, so what she's saying is that she feels that Jonathan Bing was just so infatuated by Grant Cardone that he just paid him $10,000 to have him in his presence. Like the thing is, like
I said, no. Well, let me do this for you. I'm just because you sound like a young man. I'm just gonna, and I'm like old, so I'm gonna have patience with you. I'm gonna say it one more time. We all knew why Jonathan was giving Grant this money. This had nothing to do with my feelings. This had nothing to do with what I was thinking. There was a bet that they had.
The amount is $10,000.
Jonathan was going to meet Grant in person, and the first thing that he did was, upon the initiation of that first engagement of meeting Grant Cardone in person, he gave the money as he went in for the initial handshake.
What was the amount?
$10,000 in cash, right there on the spot. It was literally Jonathan recorded it and shared this video with us.
Good question. Is $10,000 a lot of money?
Sir, it doesn't matter whether it's a lot of money. Grant Cardone has him. He tells you verbatim, I have something that you could buy for $1. I have something that you could buy for $100. I got something you could buy for $200, $300, and so. Okay? He says this verbatim. My point being if Grant Cardone is on a social platform like this, and the dual platform
Hold on.
I want to
No, I want you to shut the fuck up. That's what I want you to do. Matter of fact, I'm just going to move you down. You're a fucking retard. The idea that you think that all of these people that you just named are multi-millionaires, you're wrong. Their net worth is a lot less than you think, and you don't know them. You know of them because of the interwebs. Don't be such a fool. Let's carry on with a different conversation. That guy's fucking retarded.
Thanks for your patience with that one. I'm sorry.
Well, you were fine. He's just fucking a retard. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's a fanboy from fucking Clubhouse, and now he wants to dick ride everybody and pretend that he's counted their money.
Yeah, he got me with the he did so much for me statement. I should have stopped there, but I wanted to kind of like, because he said it, that's what probed me to ask him this question. You know what I mean? This man could have given this entire application a real live personal example of, and these people, you know what it was, Roger, people throwing them fucking self at him.
That's true.
He could have. I mean, he had plenty of fucking opportunity, but the fact is that.
Well, Angel, honestly, what it sounded like with him is it sounded like an infatuation. Like, I'm guessing Grant Cardone was on here, the way I understand. He could come on and like talk with people on stage and shit. And it sounds like this guy came up and probably asked one fucking question, and Grant Cardone gave him some advice. And now it's like when somebody meets like a famous fucking female actress. Like, she's in love with me, and they like become obsessed with these people, and it becomes like this Carrie Fisher fucking shit, you know.
And it's so funny that we're talking about, like, we're kind of like intertwining this conversation about season 1, because that's exactly what there used to be this fucking woman on this application called Forbes Riley, and she was one of those people who took people like this young man like him and she would buff them up. you know, like, you don't know you don't know me, but I've been next to Grant Cardone, and she drops her YouTube video talking to Grant Cardone. I've made $1 billion with my little toy.
What's funny? Wait, hold on. So the Prince, what's his name here? Prince of the City, the fanboy from Million Marathon that doesn't know any of these people, says that he can get them all in here right now. He said, I can get them here right now. Who should I bring? How about this? Bring any of them right now. I'm calling your little $5 ass bluff. You don't fucking know them. You know nothing about them, and you can't get them here right now. Matter of fact, here's a little wager. If you can get them here within the next 30 minutes, it's 1:30 a.m. where I'm at. If you can get them here by 2 a.m., I'll put $500 in your Cash App. Let's see if you can do it.
That's what's funny. Like, the delusion that he has. It's like he spoke to him one time.
Matthew, Roger.
But now he's like pretending like he's like friends with him. Like, I could call Grant Cardone up any minute. You know, like, it's fucking delusional.
Yeah. So at 1:30 a.m. Pacific time, he's going to call Grant Cardone, a guy that he's never talked to in his life other than being on a social audio app and talking to him in a room. Something that all of us have done, but nobody fucking brags about except for the guy that's got nothing going on in his life.
Roger, what are you going to do when Grant Cardone comes on here and he's like, hey, what's going on?
Well, first of all, if Grant Cardone comes in, he's going to find out quickly that Grant Cardone knows most of the people at this stage more than he fucking knows that retard.
No, but I'm just saying you're going to have to pay. Like, what are these guys doing?
Listen, I would gladly give this guy fucking $500. We'll call it reparations.
You can come to find out he's like the nephew, like third nephew removed or some shit like that. He's like my mom's fucking, boyfriend or something, like whatever. But he's like calling right now.
We'll make a room about him, and we'll do like the old days, and we'll introduce them to everybody. And this is Grant Cardone.
Yeah, Angel, it's like the ones I was talking about. They're talking about like some 1980s fucking C-rate actor. They're like, this is the cousin of this person.
Have you ever seen Grant live stream himself in his office in Miami or wherever the hell it's at?
Seen, like, clips
and he does his dry erase board, and it goes on for hours and hours, and he's yelling at people. He's basically instructing people in the studio, and the point is, most people don't realize that it's an EDU scam or a BizOp scam, and it's just a recurring subscription to get access to his university. So it's, you could call it a scam, but it's like me charging people to go to my YouTube accounts. It's the same stupid, back end where it's a digital library of his fucking conversations, and it's like, oh, that's the university, huh? Wow.
Actually, you know what I would do if I was this guy? I would message one of these people you're talking about, and I'd message it, like, send him, if he's happens to be on Clubhouse, like, fucking send him a message and be like, hey, these two people are betting $500 each. It's $1,000.
No, Rich. What he should do is he should just say, hey, Grant, I'll pay you $250 if you get on Clubhouse right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he wins the bet, if Angel said she'll match it, it's $500, so you get $1,000. I'd be messaging these guys. I'd be like, listen, I'll give you $1,000 or $500. I'll split it 50-50.
But keep in mind, here's a guy that's never fucking talked to Grant Cardone. So even if he sends a message to him on this app or on Twitter, right? Grant's not fucking taking that call at 1:30 in the fucking morning.
Roger, I think the delusion comes out that he may have talked to him, like when Grant was on stage and there was like they were bringing people up to ask like questions, and he was like, Mr. Cardone, can I ask you about this investment thing? And Grant was like, yeah, young man, let me tell you about this. And he's like, now he's so fucking infatuated.
Wait a second, don't forget this guy. I swear to God to you, I can see this guy right now being one of the ones who would be in our space where Grant Cardone is on stage. We let this guy up. He comes up with his pen and his paper or his notebook in hand, and he, poses his question to Grant, and with every every breath he has, he's like noting every word that comes out this man's mouth. Because there were people like that. Like, we watched it in real time.